Hey guys, today is going to be a little different of a video, and I think it may shock a lot of y'all. I was wrong about Arknights lore. And I know, before some of y'all say, who is this imposter? Who kidnapped the real Viper? Ian can actually read? Yes, I read Guide Ahead. All in all, it took me about 6 hours across several days to finish reading this side story, and surprisingly, I had a lot of fun. It was a great story, an amazing story. To be honest, I've never really done this kind of thing before. I've never read Arknights lore, and honestly, I don't think I've ever read lore in any of the gacha games that I played. I'm aware that every gacha game has its dedicated fan base that is infatuated by lore and story, but for me and many others, I think the main issue as to why we do not read lore or story is just time. Reading and digesting this much text just takes a lot of time, and I know I may be generalizing here, but I think many of us enjoy playing mobile games to save time and have something to do on the side throughout our busy lives. For Arknights in particular, I also heard that the writing in the first few chapters is quite lackluster, and that the story progressed very slowly, so because of that, I never really gave the story a chance. Until now. Some of y'all may know this, but my favorite operator in Arknights is Mostima, because I just think that she looks super badass, and since she was featured in this side story, I wanted to take the chance to learn a little more about her story, and also conduct this experiment to see if I gave Arknights lore the time and the chance, would I actually like it? And 6 hours later, goddamn, it was impressive. First, I was really impressed by the underlying themes that Guide had explored. It really felt like a packed story with many deep messages, like coming to terms with death, vengeance, racial tensions, doing the right thing, and choosing your own path despite your circumstances. And ultimately, I thought the way that the writers explored these themes throughout the characters, the order of events, and the flashbacks was really solid. It was extremely solid. Coming in, I expected very bad writing, or to a degree bad writing, and yeah, it wasn't perfect, but I'd say it was a solid 9 out of 10. Second, reading the story actually made me appreciate the operators more. I know that sounds a little obvious, but bear with me here. Before, I would always pull and build operators for their skills, their damage, how meta they are, etc. And because of that, I don't think I've really been attached to any particular character beyond those means. I've always wondered why in most of the gacha games that I've played, I naturally gravitated towards meta operators. Your Surtur, your Cholter, your Ling, and I think, to a degree, that's because the only thing I knew about them in comparison to all the other operators was how much damage they did. But, wow, after reading lore, I actually feel like I've been judging operators without the complete picture. And what I found was that not only does every character play a specific role in a side story, but their personality trait is what makes them distinguishable. For example, Fiametta has a very brazen personality. She's very loud, very confrontational, and you see that throughout all the text and all the scenes that are provided to us. And Enforcer, in another example, he has a very caring personality despite being an executor, who are usually very stoic officials in La Toronto. I just felt like this train of thought was something that I've never been exposed to before, so this experience really taught me to think about it that way, and it gave me a lot more respect towards the operators that I actually pulled. And lastly, I just want to quickly touch on the music and the sound effects that were presented throughout the lore. Honestly, this is Hypergryph's strong suit, so there's really not much to praise here. For starters, the background ambiance music was really good. I felt like the writers added sound effects like footsteps and swords clashing. I don't know, I just felt like all of these extra elements made it a lot easier for me to read the story and not feel super bored or out of place. I've played a few visual novels growing up, and one of the biggest downsides to this form of storytelling is simply it's a wall of text. It's the fact that the writers from Hypergryph didn't skimp out on the background music, they didn't skimp out on the special sound effects. That honestly just earned my respect. So I think that begs the question, am I gonna read more lore? Maybe. I had a fantastic experience reading Guide Ahead, and I really wish I could go back and read all the previous stories that people have said were really good. But at the very end of the day, it does take a lot of time and concentration. And one thing I also realized through this experience was that I actually lacked a lot of knowledge that, previous readers of the lore probably came in with. At the very beginning, I didn't really know about all of the keywords that were being thrown around, such as Sancta, Liberi, Notorial Hall, Legatus. Took extra time to research all of that and figure it out. I will say though that the discovery phase of not knowing those keywords and then slowly filling in that knowledge and understanding the full picture, that was still a very fun experience nonetheless. But you might be asking, if it takes that much time, why not just go read a story summary or watch like a oversimplified YouTube video by someone that covers lore such as Frostbite. I do see the merit in this, and yeah, I can see myself just catching myself up on lore, reading like a quick 5-minute summary or video. But as someone who went through that 6-hour process of digesting a story and experiencing the lines of raw text, I just feel like now the summaries would not give the stories the justice it deserves. I think that these SparkNotes version summaries are great if you just want to know what happened, but the fun, the actual fun that's related to Arknights lore comes down to sitting down, taking your time, and reading and experiencing the layers of storytelling that is presented. Alright, so I enjoyed lore. What about you? Should you go out there and read lore as well? And to that, I do have some advice. Obviously, reading takes a lot of time, and not everyone has that time. However, I would recommend if you have a character or a few characters that you really like because of their design, their skills, their abilities, I recommend you seeking out those side stories related to those characters and reading their lore. And while I know that it still takes some time to do that, I think that you will come out appreciating your favorite character a lot more. For me, it was Mostima, and before Guide Ahead, I liked Mostima for her design, her artwork, but I never knew the small details like why she had horns or why she had a tail. And yeah, it was through reading that I was able to actually answer those questions and gain a better understanding to my favorite operator. Ultimately, it is your decision if you want to try reading lore in Arknights. I really enjoyed it, and I really appreciate that Hypergriff put the time and effort into the world building that they have so far. And if anything, I'm just very excited for the Arknights anime, which is coming very soon. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you later.